How you folks doing? I'm Brick, and you know what I do. I review comics and action figures. This week, I have 5 for the drive. That's right, 5 for the drive. And what does that mean? It's 5 comic books that I've read in the last week or 2 that had me thinking at night, had me thinking how cool they were or how sucky they were. The first book is Clone by David Schnuller and Juan Jose Rip. Now, you guys have seen clone stories before, and yes, this is a clone story. It's about this guy named Luke who's being chased by his clones. It's crazy. So he's running up and down. What makes it even more interesting is that he has a pregnant wife that gets kidnapped by one of his clones. You know, for an atypical story, they put a twist in it. It's been really interesting, really gripping, and I can't wait for issue 2. Out of 5, I'm going to give it a 4. The next book is Before the Watchmen, The Comedian. This is issue 4. They've been running it all, since the beginning of the summer. And it's a prequel to The Watchmen. Now, they've done all the interesting characters like the Silk Spectre, Moloch, Rorschach, and of course they have the Comedian. The Comedian happens to be one of my favorite characters. And I have to ask this, Brian, what are you doing? This last issue is just a mind trip. And that's not a good thing. It just seems like he just pasted panels together and a story together. I don't know where this character is going, and that makes it sad because the Comedian is really one of the coolest characters of The Watchmen. It's really sad when I think that the Silk Spectre is cooler. That's terrible. You had so much opportunity with this character. I don't know if you're going to change it and make it better, but so far, it hasn't been good. Now, I will say that J.G. Jones's art is beautiful, and it's worth picking up just for the art. However, you're going to get confused. You don't know what's going on. I'm not a big fan. Out of 5, I'm going to have to give it a 2. The next book is X-Men Legacy by Simon Spurrier and Tang-Ing Huat. I'm sorry if I brutalized your name, brother. Don't mean to do that. Now, I have many complaints about Marvel right now. One of the big things being is that they've raised the prices and I still don't know why. Also, they're going through a big revamp, which makes it even sadder because it's obvious that they're just trying to keep up with DC with their revamp. Nothing interesting has really happened. I mean, yes, we had the Phoenix Saga and so on, but this is what makes it worse. X-Men Legacy came out of X-Men. And X-Men, I feel like, revolutionized what the X-Men were about. I have the full run. I think it's a great run. And now they started again from number 1. And they don't even have the X team on it. It's about Legion. And though Legion could be interesting, I guess, what happened to the cool team? I mean, I got sick of Wolverine being in everything, but this is ridiculous. They have like 2 or 3 panels with the X team on it, and it's just about Legion and his personalities. It's not fun. It's not cool. I'm bored. It makes me really sad if I have to drop this book. What makes it even worse is the quality of paper. First of all, if I'm going to be paying all this money for Marvel, at least give me some quality. I picked this book up, and it's like an email. It's not even a real book. I mean, the 24 pages feel like 2. I hate it. It's going to be tough for me to stick. Out of 5, I'm going to have to give it a 1. The next book is The Walking Dead by Robert Kirkman and Charlie Alden. Now, you guys, if you've seen me before review comics, know that this is one of my old hats. I really do enjoy this book. It ebbs sometimes, and sometimes I feel like dropping it. But this last issue, issue 105, was not too bad. I mean, it feels like they're going through the whole thing like the governor with a new governor and he's just as crazy or whatever, but the things that Kirkman is doing with the Carl character are very interesting. And I'm curious to see what's going to happen. And I haven't said that about The Walking Dead in a long time. So right now, probably a few issues back, I would jump on. It's a great storyline. It has nothing to do with the TV show. It's been really fun. Out of 5, I'm going to have to give this a 4.5. My last book, I went to a classic. And I haven't read this book in maybe 25 years, but I love this book. It's Dreadstar by Jim Starlin. I was digging through my comics and I found the original 6. I recently purchased the first 26. Now, it was published by one of Marvel's offshoot, Epic, and so it has a very short run. But I love this book. This book is so cool. This is what comics should be about. First of all, it's filled with panels, but more than anything, and if you guys have ever heard of Dreadstar, it's a space opera. I mean, it's a really beautifully built book. It's about Dreadstar. He's taking on two factions, the Instrumentality and the Monarchy. He's trying to bring them down. He comes up with some crazy plans to try and bring them down. He has this great cast of characters around him that are really interesting and really fun. It kind of reminds me of Firefly in the sense of a small group of rebels taking on everything. And it's been a really great read. Right now, I don't think that you'd be able to find the single issues, but you definitely could find the omnibus, which is the first 12 issues. I highly recommend that you pick this up. Out of 5, I'm going to have to give it a 5.
They're gonna put me in the movies.
Oh,
You gotta put it on top.
we got to work on flattening that head out. So this week, the last iZombie trade paperback came out, the one that wraps up Chris Robertson and Mike Allred's storyline. This is a beautiful book that has some of the best coloring and the best artwork you'll ever see in it. Basically the story of a zombie who's a sweet girl named Gwen who lives in Eugene, Oregon, and her vampire friends and her ghost friends and her wolf boy friends and all the trouble they get into trying to solve the world's problems and take it on against the presidents of the United States or the dead presidents. This is the book that you want to read, and to get to it you have to read 3 more before it. So get out there and pick up these great iZombie books and witness the end of the world. That's all I've got, other than I give it 4 out of 5 stars.
A few years ago, we interviewed Mike Allred and Laura Allred, and here they are talking about iZombie. Why don't you take it away, Al?
Hi, I'm Alan Carroll with Night Flight Comics, and I'm here visiting today with Mike Allred and Laura Allred, fan favorites and award-winning comic creators. So how are you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Great.
Yay!
Mine has a joke about, I'll tell you, I can't tell it on camera, but about fantastic. But it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
We'll catch that after the interview.
We are doing really good. This has been a great weekend.
Fantastic. Well, we'd like to talk about some of the comic projects that you guys are working on, and in particular right now, iZombie, an exciting new series coming from Vertigo. There's some great stuff going on over there. How did that project get started?
Well, the first editor I ever had is Shelley Bond. She was Shelley Roberg at Kamiko, and it was for a series called Jaguar Stories that never came out. Steve Siegel was writing it. It was my first paying gig. And then Kamiko went chapter 11. I actually moved from Europe to Oregon to be a full-time comic book artist, and then it tanked. And that's largely why I started doing my own stuff, and that evolved to Madman. But since that time, Shelley's been trying to get me to do a regular series. And so we've talked about several things over the years, and I've done different things for Vertigo. And then she hooked me up with a writer named Chris Robertson, who is amazingly talented, and he had this idea for a series, and I had some ideas based on his ideas, and we went back and forth, and Shelley had her ideas as well. She's very much a collaborator in the process, and it all just came together, and we all just got really excited, and it just happened.
Was it Chris's idea to set the story in Eugene, Oregon, or did you bring that?
It was Chris's idea. I mean, he wanted me to be drawing stuff that I was familiar with, and he thought it would be interesting to kind of go off, into an unusual direction. And Eugene is a very unique, weird town. And when he said that, Shelley liked the idea of it too, and we lived there for over 10 years. So very familiar with it, and it just seemed like a great idea.
Well, we know where we're